and welcome back. Today is Friday, December 12th. I have your 5 best bets for you in the NBA today. As always, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the page. It feels nice. It feels good. We get a 7-game NBA slate. It is nice to have more games on the schedule. Nice to see other teams playing in this whole slate. 7-game slate, but an interesting one to say at least with 4 games are being played at 7. I mean, not 7. 4 games being played at 6. 2 games being played at 7. Then there's only 1 late night game. The 2 primetime games, I would have to say, are pretty great overall in today's slate. We kick off our day off Cleveland versus Washington, one of the highest over-unders on the day, 242. Cleveland, 14.5 points favorite here on the road, and it's one of the massive spreads. So the highest total and the most massive spread, or the most, whatever, words are hard sometimes. But Cleveland 14.5, and we get to Atlanta versus Detroit. This game is going to be on TV. 231 over under. Detroit 6.5 point favorite. No Porzingis in this matchup. We get to watch Jalen Johnson versus Cade Cunningham, 2 of the youngest, 2 of the best in the Eastern Conference going at it. That game should be a ton of fun to watch on primetime. We get the Bulls versus the Hornets. They're running it back from, I think, Thanksgiving week. I always love when the Bulls play the Hornets. These two teams always play well. High over-under games always. 234 over-under. It opened it. I think that's crept down a little bit. I think it's at 230. No LaMelo Ball in this matchup, and the Chicago Bulls are 3.5 point favorites. Maybe with this time off, they'll probably win this game, but man, oh man, we cannot still play defense overall. Get Indiana versus the 76ers. This game should be a ton of fun. This will be a nice league pass game. Joel Embiid will be playing in this matchup. 229 over-under. Philly, 7.5 point favorite. I think that's a little too much. I think this game is going to be very competitive. The Pacers, they're pushing that pace and they're playing that team basketball. Even though they don't have the wins, they still play tough every single night. We get Utah versus Memphis. This is an ultimate tankathon matchup, I would have to say. 238 over under. John Morant returning in this matchup, so that makes this game pretty exciting. Memphis, 6.5 point favorite. That game's a fugazi to me. A fugazi just does not exist in my head overall. High over-under game, though. Nets versus the Mavs. Another ultimate tankathon matchup. Cooper Flagg versus Michael Porter Jr. Battle of how many shots will Michael Porter Jr. shoot in this game. Great defensive matchup in this game. I would say this game is an ultimate under matchup. Dallas, 7.5 point favorite here at home. This just screams like an under matchup for that. And then the late night game, another amazing matchup. Anthony Edwards versus Stephen Curry. I don't think they've ruled Stephen Curry that he's going to play in this game officially active, but it's most likely going to be, they've been doing all those words, probable, questionable, probable, coming in this game. 227 over under. Golden State, 2.5 point favorite. I think the wrong team is favored in that matchup. I think the Wolves take care of business, but watch me not be right on that. But today is a fun NBA slate, I would have to say. I got 5 brand new plays here that I absolutely love. And before we jump into today's plays, we got to recap yesterday's action and yesterday in the NBA. And I'm going 2-1 in best bets overall. Man, oh man, it's nice to see things go our way after a horrible week. But 2-1 still not impressive. I still would have loved a 3-0 sweep. Russell Westbrook, hand up, not even got close to 16 RAs. That game was a blowout. Should have just done Jokic points, rebounds. But hey, Russell Westbrook, last 3 games, he hit all of his overs. This one was a complete dud matchup of a game. But Jeremiah Fears, he took care of business. He started off with a quick, I think, 11 points in the first half. He only scored like 17 points in the game. He got 15 pretty early in the third quarter, and I guess he took it off. I guess maybe it was a pool party for the remainder of the game. And then Jabari Smith, he went crazy in that game. He had 18 points. He shot the ball super well. He was taking a ton of shots in the game. I think he even outscored Kevin Durant in the matchup. But Jabari Smith, he was looking great in that matchup. But nice 2-1 day. But I'm not satisfied. I'm wanting this 5-0 sweep. And let's just jump into it. For my first play of the day, going to be in this Atlanta Hawks-Detroit game. Going to be on prime time, 231 over under. Detroit, 6.5 point favorite here. And this guy, we took his overs a ton of times last year. We've been taking his overs a lot this year. We've been taking normally his rebounds, assists. But today, I'm strictly the points department. So give me Jalen Johnson to go over 23.5 points, coming to minus 122. On FanDuel. Detroit, these last 15 games allowed the 8th most points to the small forward position, the power forward position. So this is a great matchup for Jalen Johnson. And he's gone over 2 for his last 2 against the Pistons this season, averaging 27 points per game, with the last 2 games him having 25 and 29 points in the most recent games. And we all know he has been on fire these last 5 games, going over 4 for his last 5, averaging 30 points per game, with him having some career high games, 29, 41, 29, 21, and then 30 in the most recent game in this game. But why we love this so much is no Porzingis in this matchup. And when Porzingis doesn't play, he has an 89% hit rate on this number, averaging 27.8 points per game, going over in the last 8 games, scoring 25 plus points, all in the last 8 games. 8 straight games without Porzingis in the lineup. We love that. 3 straight versus Detroit without Trae Young in the lineup. So the last 3 games without Trae Young versus Detroit, he scored 28, 25, and 29 in the last 3 without Trae Young in the lineup. Detroit is 25th in the league versus transition baskets, and Jalen Johnson gets 26% of his shots in the transition, so he has a nice transition. Detroit, these last 15 games, allowed the 8th most points to the power forward position. I have him projected at 28 plus points in this game. It's going to be a Jalen Johnson game. It's going to be Jalen Johnson and Kate going at it, and I'm going with Jalen Johnson in this matchup. Detroit, 8th most points last 15 games, 2 for his last 2 in Detroit. He's going to make it 3 for his last 3 overall. So it's going to be Jalen Johnson to go over 23.5 points, coming minus 122. On FanDuel. All those 22s I just said right there just threw me off overall. But jump into my second play of the day. My next 2 plays are in this same game. Charlotte versus the Bulls. I will always have a Chicago Bulls play, as my favorite team is the Chicago Bulls, unfortunately. But fortunately, I know something a lot of people probably do know by now, and that's Coby White. When he plays in Charlotte, he's from Charlotte, he always balls the fuck out. He is an auto play for me. I've been taking his overs every single time he plays Charlotte, no matter what, for the good and the bad, but mostly it's been for the good. So give me Coby White to go over 21.5 points, coming minus 124 on DraftKings. Definitely watch out. If you're in the Chicagoland area, there is like that 25% profit boost for any Chicago Bulls play. I'm using it on this, but I'm using the minus 124 for the video because I don't know if that's like a state-specific kind of thing overall, but I digress. Why we love this so much. Coby White, he's gone over 5 for his last 5 games versus Charlotte. In Charlotte, averaging 29.4 points per game. Last 5 games he's played. And he has a 100% hit rate on the road. So he has a 100% hit rate on the road this season, averaging 25.3 points per game. And 5 for his last 5 games in Charlotte on the road, averaging 29.4 points per game. And then the last 5 in Charlotte, he's at 27, 35, 23, 37, and 25 in the most recent matchup, which was earlier this year where we took the over in the matchup. He's only gone over 3 for his last 5 games overall, averaging 20.6 points per game, with the last few games him being a little lackluster. With the most recent game against the Warriors, he had 12 plus points in that, but returning from injury plus having all these days off and the team practicing, I'm not worried about a minutes restriction with Coby White. I think he's going to be a full go in this. He's gone over 6 for his last 9 versus Charlotte. Great number overall, averaging 24.9 points per game. No Ayo in the lineup, and last season with Ayo Dosunmu didn't play, he had a 65% hit rate, averaging 24.4 points per game, and 2 for his last 2 versus Charlotte without Ayo in the lineup, averaging 30 points per game. Again, 100% hit rate on the road this season, averaging 25.3 points per game. Charlotte allows the 27th most straightaway threes, so those little 2K hot zones I like to talk about behind the arc. They allow the 27th most straightaway threes, where Coby White takes 42% of his shots from. Charlotte allows the 25th most points in the paint, and that's another area where Coby White takes 40% of his shots. So 2 areas they struggle at: beyond the arc straightaway threes and when someone drives in the lane, and those are 2 things Coby White 80% of the time only does. I have him projected at 24 plus points here. The Charlotte kid returning home is going to have a massive game, so give me Coby White to go over 21.5 points, coming to minus 124 on DraftKings. Sticking into the same game for the third play of the day here. Last time these 2 teams played, this guy looked incredible. He has not done that well overall, but there's no LaMelo Ball in the lineup. I would love to go Concaniffle, but Brandon Miller, he was a sniper against this Bulls team last time they played, and he has a great matchup. So give me Brandon Miller to go over 21.5 points, coming minus 112 on FanDuel. The Chicago Bulls, these last 7 games, allow the 3rd most points and the 3rd most threes to the shooting guard position. You might be saying, what are you talking about? Brandon Miller, he's a small forward. What do you mean? But they move him to the shooting guard position this season because they have Kniffel at the small forward position. He is a shooting guard. These last 15 games, the Bulls allowed the second most points and the second most threes to the shooting guard position. And then on the season, they allowed the 9th most points and the 9th most threes to the shooting guard position. So all year, they've been getting killed by shooting guard positions. 23 games, they've all been horrible against the shooting guard position. And Brandon Miller has been pretty consistent versus the Chicago Bulls team. Only over 1 for his last 3, but the last 3 games, him scoring 21, 21, and then he had 27 in the most recent matchup overall. And there's no LaMelo Ball. He's gone over 3 for his last 5 games without LaMelo Ball in the lineup, averaging 23 points per game. With the last 5 games without LaMelo, he scored 26, 25, 26, 21, and 17 points per game, averaging 20 field goal attempts per game without LaMelo Ball in the lineup. And last season, with the shot volume, he got the over 56% of the time. And last season at home with this shot volume, he got the over 80% of the time, averaging 30 points per game. So we love the shot volume we'll get without LaMelo Ball in the lineup. The Chicago Bulls are 21st versus spot-up shooter, where Brandon Miller shoots 26% of his shots from. So they struggle with spot-up shooters. That's the word I'm looking for. But last time they played, they set up so many design plays for Brandon Miller, and he was getting wide open against the Chicago Bulls team. And Bulls have struggled versus shooting guards. Moody just had 11. Podzinski just had 21. Ben Mathurin, 28. Bang, 37. Miller, 27. Keyshawn George, 17. And Denny had 32 against the Chicago Bulls team. I have him projected here at 24 plus points. So it can be Brandon Miller to go over 21.5 points, coming to -112. On FanDuel, jumping to my 4th play in this Pacers-76ers matchup, 229. Over under Philly, 7.5 point favorite. But this Pacers team is a scrappy team, and it's because they're getting a little healthier these last few games. And Andrew Nembhard has been a passing machine. He has a great matchup here, so give me Andrew Nembhard to go over 6.5 assists, coming to -130. On FanDuel, the 76ers allow the 5th most assists to the point guard position. The 76ers, these last 15 games, allow the 3rd most assists to the point guard position. So overall, they've been struggling on passing point guards, and Andrew Nembhard has been a passing fiend, going over 3 for his last 5, averaging 7.6 assists per game. But the last 5 games, him having 6, 6, 7, 7, and 12 assists in the most recent games, averaging 13 potential assists per game. We love that overall. 63% hit rate on the road this season, averaging 6.6 assists per game. With the last 2 games in Philly, he had 7 and 7 assists in the last 2. And he's a great history of getting this over against the 76ers. 4 for his last 5 versus Philly, averaging 6.6 assists per game. With the last 5 games against the 76ers, he's had 8, 8, 7, 3, and then he just had 7 in the most recent matchup here. Point guards versus Philly have had some massive games. Luka, 11 assists. Ryan Rollins, 7. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 7. Suggs, 11. Davion Mitchell, 12. Ryan Rollins, again, 14. Jamal Shead, 6. Nearly 60% of point guards when they play the 76ers get the euro over. I have him projected at 8 assists in this game, so give me Andrew Nembhard to go over 6.5 assists, come to -130. On FanDuel, jumping to my 5th and final play of the day in this Golden State Warriors versus Wolves matchup. This is going to be can't miss TV. This game is going to be awesome to watch overall. And as you saw, I just typed a little bit because I didn't write this all out. I want Anthony Edwards in this game. It's back to getting my fun part of it. Anthony Edwards on the road has been incredible all season. He's playing Stephen Curry on prime time. I can't stay away, so give me Anthony Edwards to go over 27.5 points, coming -110 on FanDuel. 70% hit rate on the road this season for Ant-Man, averaging 31.8 points per game. He's gone over 4 for his last 6 versus Golden State in Golden State, averaging 29.3 points per game, with the last 2 games him having 36 and 30 points in those 2 in Golden State. His last 3 regular season games, he's had 33, 30, and 27 versus Golden State in Golden State. He's only gotten this over 3 for his last 5, averaging 28.4 points per game. But he has those highs of highs and lows of lows. Last 5 games, 32, 44. Now to the lows, 11, 15, and then a high. He had 40 points in the most recent game overall, over 7 for his last 10 games overall as well, averaging 31.4 points per game. Golden State Warriors are 28th in the league versus isolation scorers, and Anthony Edwards gets nearly 20% of his shots in the isolation game, so he has a nice matchup there. Only over 2 for his last 5 versus the Golden State Warriors, averaging 26.2 points per game, but we love this so much because it's on the road. 70% hit rate on the road this season, averaging 31.8. Again, 4 for his last 6 versus Golden State in Golden State, averaging 29.3 with the last 2 again. 36 and 30. I have him projected at 30 plus points in this game, and kind of same archetypes versus this Golden State Warriors because they are a very good defensive team versus shooting guards. Donovan Mitchell, 29. Ace Bailey, 21. Norman Powell, 25. Desmond Bane, 23. Castle, 23. And Malik Monk, 21. So these scoring shooting guards can pop off versus this Warriors team. I think Anthony Edwards will here on primetime. So give me an Ant-Man to go over 27.5 points. Give me minus 110 on FanDuel. And those are my 5 best bets for you in the NBA today. As always, let me know down below what's your best bet in the NBA. I always love to tell you guys in the comment section. And while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. Makes me know you like the content. I truly appreciate the support this page you guys have been giving me, and it shows 90% of people that watch this video don't subscribe. So talking to you, hey, if you're watching, if I've been a winner or a loser for you, you could at least do me a favor and leave a subscribe down below. 5 plays here today. Anthony Edwards over 27.5 points. Andrew Nembhard over 6.5 assists. Brandon Miller over 21.5 points. Coby White over 21.5 points. And Jalen Johnson to kick us off over 23.5 points. Hopefully you guys are having a happy Friday. Keep on smiling, and I will see you in the next one.